What is going on, people of YouTube? My name is Kurtyoy, and welcome back to another Let's Talk Football podcast with myself and, of course, my fellow shit talker, Gingy X or Joe. Say hello.
Hello.
And of course,
we're talking.
Oh, your voice. Yeah, first one out of four where you've had your voice.
Yeah, I know. That's just blame my holiday. Blame that.
See, it was only like 2-3 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. At least you've now recovered after 2 or 3 weeks. But anyway, bit of a tangent, as you know, we like to do. Welcome back to another podcast. Today, we're going to be talking through the results. We're going to be talking through the fixtures coming up, any FPL gems, and also a few transfers if we get time. But I want to address one thing quickly that I mentioned at the start of last episode, which was about comments. I thought, you know what, we can ask people to comment. So I'm asking you now, if you want to lay a comment on anything we speak about, or just anything you want us to answer in general, leave it in the comment section of this podcast, and we'll get to it in the next podcast. Fuck you for saying I'd forget. Just going to point that out.
I was literally just thinking, I can't believe you remembered to do it.
That's been my.
I forgot.
It's been my routine going to sleep. Just I must remember to mention the comments. I must remember to mention the comments. Rocking back and forth slowly. But as far as comments go, last time it was Mahrez signed a new contract because I mentioned it so late in the podcast. But anyway, let's get on with the results. If you want to leave comments, let us know in the comments, and we'll get to them. We've got a few game weeks. I've picked out a few again that I feel like were important because in the end it wasn't really much of a game week. It was quite boring. But I'm going to have to start with Pogba's debut on Friday, the 19th of August. Manchester United host Southampton, and Pogba plays pretty alright, I have to admit. And many people were saying, Pogba, a bit overrated in that game, he didn't play that well. Yeah, he didn't influence the game going forward, maybe he was a bit lackadaisical at times, but his touch was brilliant, and he just adapted so well to the game, played a full 90 minutes and everything. And he looked a real good player. Maybe not FPL concerns, not like the Hazards or Sanchez's are going to be looking to score loads of points. But for a team player, I think he's going to be vital this season, personally.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. The thing is with Pogba, he's very much a player that it's what he does off the ball as well as on it that's very key to like sort of each team's play. And I mean, I caught parts of the game. I know that he was in the box for the Zlatan Ibrahimovic header, and at first I did think that he got to it. But, he will come up with a few goals and a few assists this season, but you can't expect him to be getting the same amount of points as the likes of Mahrez, Payet, Hazard, Martial, potentially. Mkhitaryan if he actually starts playing. But anyway, you can't expect him to be up there with the big boys.
Yeah, and talking about other new boys, it was an Old Trafford debut for a few players. Bailey played well on the defence. Izzy, potentially the ever so slightly cheaper option to Luke Shaw. Spend the extra 0.1 million getting Luke Shaw because he's going to get the assist as well. But Ibra, again, pretty much matched Aguero. And to me, he's actually eclipsing Aguero at the moment because Aguero scored 2 penalties. Zlatan only scored 1. Aguero scored, what have been relatively easy 3 goals. Zlatan, of course, had the penalty, but the other 2 have been a pretty decent long shot and a very, very good header. One of the best headers we'll see this season. And Zlatan, I was cautious because I thought he would maybe tire, be too old, but he hasn't been taken off. He's played a full 90 minutes in 2 straight Premier League games and looked good for the whole 90 minutes in 2 straight Premier League games, which is obviously good for Manchester United fans and Man United in general.
Yeah, well, I was very similar to you with my opinions on Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Age being a factor, that maybe he's not got the same sort of fitness, maybe he's not got the pace for the Premier League and things like that. But if there's one thing he has shown, he's got the strength for it, and he is still packing a bit of pace back there as well. So it's not like he's going to be dying off anytime soon. Towards the end of the season could be a bit of an interesting one to see if he can keep it going. But, while he's hot on form, there's no reason as to why you should be not considering him for your teams. I've certainly put him in. I'm pretty sure Kurt has now as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic is definitely looking like he's going to be a key player this season for Man United, which is good for them, of course, but Christ, I do not want to play against him anytime soon.
and an interesting point you raise up. Another thing I was going to mention is that at the end of the season, will he start tiring then? You've also got to think, how is Mourinho going to manage him when Europa League, the Thursday night games come up? Because that would be an interesting thing.
That would be when you start to see Marcus Rashford playing again. You might see Martial in a more advanced position, the likes of Depay playing. You know, the players that aren't playing at the moment will be definitely playing in the Europa League. But, you know, I doubt Ibra will play a massive part in Europe until maybe the latter stages of the tournament.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean,
or, of course, if they really need him.
Yeah, that is true as well. We have seen teams in the past that maybe haven't played the strongest teams in Europe or Europa League, and then suddenly they have it all to do in the last game. Liverpool a few years ago. But anyway,
West Ham.
Oh, what's that? We're struggling against a team that's called beer in their name.
Don't.
Anyway, moving on from that, one quick thing to mention on that theme. Southampton, to mention quickly about them. Many people saying they're not doing too well. I feel like it's just going to be a moulding phase. They've still, lost quite a few good players, and they still look pretty good. And I think a point I saw on Soccer Saturday raised by Matt Letizia was that under Ronald Koeman, they drew and then lost their first 2 games, a home draw and then an away defeat. So it's not all doom and gloom for Southampton fans, not doom and gloom for Southampton in general. But I'd say they looked good, and if they were against any other ordinary team, they would have scored. If they had maybe a better class of players, the chances they had in that game would have been put to bed, and that's worrying for Man United because they were given chances, and you give them chances to any of the top 6 teams, maybe even a Vardy or Mahrez, the counter, they're going to pack a punch, they're going to hurt them, and maybe that's a slight worry for Man United.
Defensively, Man United are going to be strong, but at the same time, they're still going to have their weaknesses until their defence moulds and until they get the likes of Chris Smalling back. And, some more of their key defenders. And Daley Blind is not a defender. But we'll leave that for another conversation. But, I think that Southampton, they had this last season as well, like you said, very much so. Towards the end of last season, they had a massive sort of rise back up the table. They sort of went from mid-table obscurity to a European challenge. So it's not all doom and gloom yet. And they're certainly looking to replace the likes of Graziano Pelletier, that is a natural goal scorer. So maybe they still have time to do that. But Nathan Redmond is a very key player for them. Do not write them off yet. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'll happily agree with that. I mean, they've had Jim. That was a really weird noise. I think you just opened up a drink, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I thought so. Okay, that. They've had 2 tough games in the face of Watford side that look pretty, good this season, and of course away against Manchester United. Their next game week is at home against Sunderland, so we're going to see how good they can actually play. If they don't play well, I'd say, like Joe said, don't write them off because it's going to be a moulding phase. But then, same could be said about Sunderland. But with that, we move on to the next game, and surprisingly, I've just realised the 3 games I've picked out are the first 3 games on the FPL website. Next up, we've got Stoke versus Manchester City. If you look at it from the outside, it looks like Pep Guardiola's stylish football have really, really killed Stoke, and
it's far from the truth.
It was far from the truth. An Aguero penalty, an Aguero goal. I mean, at least Stoke got a penalty, but they really pressured them. Willy Caballero cannot pass. Apparently, neither can Joe Hart. Let's hope Claudio Bravo can pass, because if they get pressured like that with Claudio Bravo, he's got to be able to make those passes. Caballero wasn't, and in the end, the last 2 goals, Stoke did what any team would do, chuck them forward, and they got countered twice, and it was basically a little trampy FIFA sweaty goal for Nolito to score 2. So nothing really to write home about, apart from it was just exactly the same as the last game week, a nervy-ish 2-1, with City taking a lot of the ball, but not looking like they're going to kill off a game.
Well, I mean, if anything, the first 2 performances for Man City could only be good news for West Ham coming into this game week. But I have to say that I've not been impressed by Man City so far. I definitely think that Joe Hart is being far too overlooked. His influence he will have on a game, I think, will be massive. And if he plays this week, which I hope he sort of doesn't, I think that he'll have a massive impact on the game. But Claudio Bravo seems to be paving a way for Joe Hart to actually leave the club, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, as I can't remember who said it. I think, don't quote me on this, I think it was Peter Schmeichel that said that Joe Hart is definitely the third best goalkeeper in the world behind Neuer and De Gea, which based on his Euro performances wasn't true, but every goalie goes through rough patches. Neuer's due his, hopefully, sometime soon.
Yeah.
De Gea had his at the start of his Man United career, which everyone seems to forget. So, don't write off Man City yet, don't write off Joe Hart yet, but certainly the Pep Guardiola way has not really shown itself to be as big as it really is in the early parts of the season, and the scoreline is definitely something that really credits Manchester City for being lucky as anything.
Yeah, I'll go with that, and going on the point about David De Gea, people will forget that it was Anders Lundegaard that kept him out of the team when he was a bit out of form. I just want to point that out. Same as Willy Caballero, those two goalkeepers really should be playing in the Championship, looking at their skill level. But Man City, it's I feel like, again, it's interesting because we'll see West Ham will be, for me, a step up from Stoke and a step up from Sunderland, and it's at home as well. How they deal with that, and how will West Ham will deal with it? I'm assuming Dimitri Payet will make his way back into the starting 11. If he doesn't, I seriously do feel like West Ham will struggle, personally. But we'll leave that for the fixtures bit, because I've really almost went on a horrible tangent and ruined the rest of the talking. But next up, I said the third game was the first 3 o'clock kickoff, in which, for me, I was predicting like a 7-all last-minute winner to make it 8-7 to Liverpool, because Burnley have got Andre Gray and Sam Vokes, who we've found out now, after people saying, "Oh, Burnley aren't going to do very well," are actually quite lethal when they're given the chance.
Yep,
and
see,
Liverpool,
don't write me and Kurt off yet. We do know what we're talking about.
and Liverpool were really, really shit. I mean, I saw the stats.
They were.
It was quite atrocious. Burnley, I believe. Actually, I'm going to look at the stats. I'm going to look at the report. I want to be 100%. I'm getting on BBC Sport as we talk right now. I'm trying to go through things.
I'm pretty sure
Burnley had 3 shots with 2 on target and scored 2 goals and had 20% possession.
26.
Liverpool had 80% possession, 26 shots and 5 on target. Burnley had 1 corner. Liverpool had 12. In the end, it shows that I feel like Liverpool, they're not. Maybe it's a smack down to earth, like, oh, get out of the clouds. We're not ready to start saying it's going to be our year. Which, let's face it, a lot of Liverpool fans had already started saying it was going to be their year. And for Burnley, it gives them hope, but it also highlights the fact that Liverpool do have problems in their team, and a lot of problems.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, when you consider that their so-called first-team left-back is James Milner, that's an issue. That's got to be sorted, Liverpool. So you're not all home and dry yet. Trust me on that. Really, I think that Burnley showed that they can be dangerous, which is good, because I really hope Burnley stay up. Burnley are my Bournemouth for this year. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want Bournemouth to stay up. Of course, I want Bournemouth to stay up. But Burnley, I hope they stay up. Let me just start off like that. But I just thought Liverpool peaked too early, thinking they're just all of a sudden the best team in the country, because it's quite clear that they played a very, very weak Arsenal defence in that first game. It's missing a number of key players, and one of their main players in the first game, Sadio Mane, didn't play, and you sort of noticed a big difference in the side.
Yeah.
Coutinho wasn't hitting the target. I'm pretty sure I saw him try the same shot 4 times, and each time it went 40 yards over the bar. So it was back to a normal Coutinho. But I think you just think you're too good, Liverpool. You do think you're too good.
I can echo those thoughts. I mean, it's a massive crash down to earth. It highlights problems, but it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, admittedly, on any other day, that wouldn't have happened. I just feel like the very underrated Vokes, or maybe definitely Vokes, but not so much Gray, have shown what class they can have. Like, on any other day, those 2 strikers are going to miss those chances, because Vokes is a fantastic strike and a good counter-attack with a good finish from Andre Gray. On other days, that'll end as a 0-0, and Burnley wouldn't have had those goals. But
oh yeah,
there is that argument, but they concede those goals, and I think from Liverpool's point of view, I think there's too many creators, because you're looking at their midfields, and you've got Lallana in there, who's a creator. You've arguably, I think Firmino is more attacking, but I still think he's a creator. Coutinho, no doubt, is fantastic at creating things. Mane is someone that's going to run at the defence. Sturridge, well, I thought he was going to be good differential at 10 million. No, he's a bad differential at 10 million. If anything, he's an awful signing. Looking at that, but it gives both teams food for thought, because it's positive for Burnley, but a very, very big negative for Liverpool. They can make it into positive, but they've got to sign left back. They've got to sign striker. For me, they've got to sign, because they've got rid of their best goal scoring one in Benteke. For me personally,
the thing is with Christian Benteke, is that you've got to play to his style of football.
Yeah.
And Liverpool simply don't. They seem to refuse to cross the ball in the box, and eventually it's going to be their downfall, because everyone knows what they're going to do. And once you tactically, get rid of the way, if you know how they're going to play, you can stop them. I'm going to bring it up, but West Ham have actually beaten Liverpool 3 times in a row now, and that is literally because we play to their weaknesses.
Slavan knows,
although it was Allardyce the first time, but still.
Didn't you beat him in the cup as well, though? I thought you beat him in the cup last season.
That is a good question.
I thought that's what you were referring to.
Oh, we did beat him in the cup. Yeah, we did.
Because I think O'Connor got the last minute winner.
Yeah, he did. I remember that, because I woke my house up.
But yeah, positives, negatives have gone through it. The rest of the fixtures: Swansea 0, Hull 2. Hull managed to keep up their shock and win a second game in a row, which, to be honest, if you'd put an ACCA on the Hull winning their first 2 games, bet a tenner on it, you could now buy the world, rumour has it. It was that unlikely. Spurs, pretty much, I think, as you said, got 1-0 against Palace, which is what I was fearful of, but unfortunately it happened. Watford just about got beaten at Chelsea with another last-minute Diego Costa goal. Somehow, again, squeezing their way through it. However, a fantastic ball from Fabregas Marta to win the game. West Brom 1, Everton 2. Well, I said it could have been 0-0, but also could be goals either side, so I'm going to take that. And also, Everton showed they can beat them sort of teams, which last season under Martinez they weren't. Leicester 0, Arsenal 0. I think it highlights how good Holding could be. I mean, did you see them? By the way, did you see Arsene Wenger's press conference, or the highlights from it, at least?
I didn't.
When he spoke about Rob Holding.
I didn't know. I did watch match. The thing is, I watched match of the day, but I didn't watch the Leicester Arsenal game, because I was like, I'm not sitting through a 0-0.
No, I didn't watch their match today this week, to be honest. But it was basically Arsene Wenger came out in a press conference and said, "You all forget that Rob Holding had a good game, or had a really good game. He's 20, he's English. I'm sorry, he doesn't cost 55 million." Taking massive shots at every other club, but it's true. I mean, Arsenal last week, they were about that leader at the back. They took out Chambers, installed that leader in Koscielny, and what happens? You've got a Rob Holding that plays a really good game. You've got a really solid Arsenal defence that nullifies what was one of the best attacks last season. And
not just that. It was Bellerin had a very good game as well.
Bellerin was very good as well. Yeah, both fullbacks were. In fairness, Monreal, we can't forget about, because he's just there. He's just basically that average player that never does really bad, but never does that well. He also did really well. But the 2 Sunday games: Sunderland 1, Middlesbrough 2. I slept through the whole of it because I was up watching UFC, but I've been told it's an awful game.
I can tell you how good the Middlesbrough game was. Probably I actually found it just as boring as the following game.
The following, would that be West Ham 1, Bournemouth 0?
But you know what? It is, Kurt. It was West Ham 1, Bournemouth 0.
Rather surprising. Antonio scored the first goal. I'm so happy for him, because you move him out to the wings, and what do you get? An Antonio that installs confidence in himself, installs playing ability, and is not that Antonio that was signed as a striker from Middlesbrough, from Nottingham Forest, and is now, a year later, being forced to play right back. You learn things. Sam Byram's not that bad of a player.
When I saw the team sheet and saw Antonio in the wings, you have no idea how happy I was. But at the same time, Antonio, Byram proved how good he was. I say how good he was. he did a much better job at dealing with the likes of Eden Hazard than a lot of players have done this season, even in the Euros. So Sam Byram showing that he is a good player, thank God. And Antonio, of course, getting a goal. I'm over the moon that he was the first player to score in the Olympic Stadium in the league, because I'm a very big fan of Mikel Antonio, as Kurt knows. And I really wish him the best for the future.
I think the only person, for a West Ham fan point of view, at least for you, that could have made it even better was, I suppose, Mark Noble.
Yes. Yeah, no, I would say that. Mark Noble, if he was to score, of course, it would have been, sort of the perfect start. But I'm very glad it was an Englishman that scored, and I'm very glad it was Mikel Antonio. And I'm not saying that because, I'm like against other nations playing for our teams, but it's just nice to have that homegrown talent.
Breaking news: Joe supports UKIP.
UKIP.
you supported Brexit. I'll tell you who you support. Britain's first. Britain's first. But anyway, that's all the results. Nothing too exciting. I mean, the last week was much better for results. I mean, you look at the Chelsea-West Ham game, which admittedly was all Chelsea, but exciting. Arsenal-Liverpool, of course, that was exciting. Bournemouth-Man United, quite boring, had goals in it. But every game was exciting. This week didn't have much of it. You knew what was going to happen in Man United versus Southampton. You were pretty confident you knew what was going to happen in Stoke and Man City. The only real good game was Burnley versus Liverpool. And I'll take that as I burp again. On to game week number 3, though, coming up. There's no Friday game week. There's no Friday game, but also no Monday game. Disappointing. I think it's because of the international break. I
would reckon it's got to play a part of that.
But a few key games I've highlighted. Actually, I'll go on to my Excel doc. I'll look at the 4 games to watch I picked out from my preview series. You want to go watch that, check it out on my channel. Harmless plug. Is Spurs versus Liverpool, Hull versus Man United, West Brom versus Middlesbrough, and Man City versus West Ham.
Did you leave a 20-minute segment for that?
We didn't do it last week. We didn't look ahead to the fixtures from last week because we spent about 50 minutes talking about the fixtures from game week 1.
Yeah, I know. To be fair, there was a lot to talk about, though.
Yeah, new signings, everything, how they perform. But any game weeks or any games in general or stand out for you as could be key in maybe a title race, maybe FPL, anything?
The title race.
Hull City.
Yeah, Hull Man United's a big game. It's third versus first.
That's what I was referring to.
No, I think that Spurs-Liverpool will be an interesting game because Spurs have not been playing well. Liverpool had a very good first game, but a very shit second game, to say the least. Yeah. You might need to get the bleeper out for that. But, yeah, I mean, I think that Man City-West Ham could be a good game. Man City getting more of a test. West Ham getting their second away test of the season. I just hope we don't fall to pieces. We, of course, are playing on Thursday night again, so we could see some chopping and changing in the side. But I just hope that Antonio plays on the wing.
Well, I think you'd be foolish to play Antonio in right back because that leaves you even less defensive players against a Manchester City team that is basically John Stones and then 9 other attackers on the pitch. But I'd say Manchester City versus West Ham is obviously a big one because can West Ham get out of maybe I could say a slump because I haven't been performing too well, but I think it's because they're playing those 3. Because last year I feel like the way you played last season, the way you played well was a 4-2-3-1. Now you've got those 3 midfielders. Mark Noble might not get forward too much. You've also got Harvard Norvite, who I think has been atrocious in his first 2 games, and Kurtyoy, who you play him anywhere and you can do well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, Norvite did have a better game this weekend, but still awful.
Against a really sorry-looking Bournemouth team that ended up with 10 men. But Spurs Liverpool, I feel like that could either be a goal fest or a very close victory to Spurs.
I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw in that.
I think Spurs might nick it with a clean sheet, personally, because I feel like their defence is good. You've got Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Walcott and Rhodes. I feel like it's one of the sturdiest defences in the league.
It is going to be attack versus defence, I mean, and Spurs have to hope that sooner or later Janssen's going to hit the target.
At least Kane remembers that his shooting boots are somewhere. Anyway, the next one, Hull versus Man United. The reason I highlight that one now is because Hull generally have surpassed all expectations for the season. I think 6 points was probably 6 points ahead of where they thought they were going to be with the players they had available. And now it's just whatever that goes. But it also brings the test of, will Man United be able to break down what would be a very, very defensive Hull team? Do it maybe even deeper than they did against Leicester. Just make sure they do not allow any space behind and say, if you're going to come at us, you're going to have to shoot from range. It's going to be an interesting battle to see whether the likes of Rooney, Martial, Ibrahimovic, Pogba can step up and make that moment of difference, moment of magic, and maybe win the game for them, because I don't think Hull will get near Man United in terms of goals, personally.
No, well, the thing is with Hull is they might want to drop deep, but they don't want to drop too deep, because if you drop too deep, you're giving yards of space to the likes of Rooney, Ibra, Pogba. Those three players can't half hit a shot.
No, and Pogba's long-range shots in his last few years have been disgusting.
You don't want to give any of them a few yards of space, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they set up for this game. But Mike Phelan, of course, knows Man United inside out, so it could be an interesting game, to say the least.
I'll go with that. Then West Brom. This is a really tough one that I think a few people might have raised eyebrows to. West Brom versus Middlesbrough, I think, is so interesting because you've got the hype bus around Negredo. You've got Stuani, who smacked in some fantastic goals and grabbed 2 goals last weekend, versus a West Brom team that is known for their defending, but also went out in the EFL Cup, which shows good teams can go out in the EFL Cup. Hashtag Cambridge United, hashtag 2-1, hashtag sorry Sheffield Wednesday.
Was it 2-1 in the end?
Well, we lost 2-1 the first rounds. I think they lost 2-0.
Did West Brom lose to Gillingham?
I think so. I'm not too sure, really. I think it was 2-2 it ended.
Yeah.
But either way, it's atrocious. They shouldn't be doing that, but they did. So that's the reason I've highlighted that one, because it'll be interesting to see can Middlesbrough break down the solid defence of West Brom, and will players like Phillips, Rondon, Berahino be able to step up and make the difference in this game?
Macaulay,
yep.
Yeah, aerial threat. No, West Brom, Middlesbrough. It's a bit of a weird one to have on Super Sunday, isn't it? Is it a derby? I don't really know.
Not too sure, really.
It's Midlands, isn't it? Midlands derby. I don't know, but anyway, it's a bit of a weird one because when I saw Super Sunday, I was like, oh god, let's see. Oh, Man City, West Ham. That's a good start. Who's on the West Brom, Middlesbrough. Are you sure? But I think that Negredo had a hype bus last time he was in the Premier League as well, we can't forget, where he had a good start to the season, banged in a few goals, got himself a few assists, so it'll be interesting, but I would like to see Jordan Rhodes actually play a few games, to be honest.
Yeah, so would I.
So, really, I don't really know what to say about this game, because I've sort of gone for a bore draw.
I can see a board draw as well. Looking at it, Northampton beat West Brom 4-3 on penalties. Gillingham beat Watford away from home. So they went to Vicarage Road and won.
I thought Gillingham won.
I mean, you got the right first letter, in fairness.
Yes.
But finally, we've already covered it. It's Man City versus West Ham. It's just interesting to see, will West Ham be able to hold out Aguero. And De Bruyne and every other attacking player they've got, because if
we did it last season.
But the only problem is that they've got more this season.
We've got more. We've got Caleri.
I thought you were going to go into a chant then. We've got more. We've got players. No,
I should have done that.
That and the fact, Nasri, if he decides to lose weight, Jesus Navas could be quite dangerous in that sort of game.
I do not rate Navas whatsoever. I don't rate him.
He's got one more assist than Payet this season.
I mean, he's probably played 2 times the amount of Payet's played as well.
He's played 100 minutes of football.
Okay, yeah. So Payet's played less than that. He's played like 25.
Yeah. But that's generally everything exciting looking at it. I mean, Chelsea, Burnley, Chelsea are probably going to win that one. Palace, Bournemouth, that's actually quite an interesting one, actually.
It's an interesting game because
both teams have lost their first 2 games.
Yeah, if Benteke plays, which I would assume he will, the ball's getting whipped into him could be dangerous to say the least. And of course, we all know how deadly Benteke can be. So we'll have to wait and see.
The dangerous Benteke!
The danger. Oh my god, that reminds me of that. The dangerous Benteke.
Back in FIFA, where every time Benteke would get the ball within like a 50-yard radius of the ball, the goal, the dangerous Benteke! No, he's passing the ball back to the keeper.
The dangerous Benteke.
The only problem with Benteke joining Palace is that you look at their wingers. You've got Townsend, who likes to cut in and go for goal. You've got Zaha, who likes to cut in and go for goal. You've got Sacco, who hasn't really done anything but also likes to attack the goal. You've not really got a winger. The only real person you could say does that is Lee Chung-Young, and he's not a first-team player in my eyes, although saying that he has played a lot of football this season, started both the games, but I don't see it.
You could see a change of style in play, though, from those wingers. They might be told they have to cross the ball in.
Oh, no doubt. You can't play Benteke without, having wingers to cross the ball. I think they've definitely been told, and they'll have to do it, unfortunately. But Everton versus Stoke, it's slightly interesting, but I feel like Everton will take that one. Leicester versus Swansea, interesting because it's basically a mid-table clash / relegation battle. I feel like Leicester will take that one. Southampton versus Sunderland, I feel like Southampton have got it. And Watford versus Arsenal, much I think Watford have started well, they're all down to 1 player, which to be honest echoes last season when they were down to 2 players. Slightly worse this season, but they've made good strides in the window. They've just signed Daryl Janmaat as we're talking right now. They've signed Roberto Pereira.
Oh, what? Who signed Janmaat?
Watford. Why?
Because we were rumoured with him, and I thought he was quite good last season.
He had quite a few assists last season. It is worth noting, though, that I posted on Twitter, they've got so many fullbacks, because Holebas is a fullback, Zuniga's a fullback, Paredes is a fullback, Neom is a fullback,
I forgot Neom.
is a fullback. They've got now, I think, 7 fullbacks at the club, and they don't even play formation with fullbacks. They play wingbacks, and one of the wingbacks is Amrabat, who's a striker. Well, midfielder on FPL, but... Oh, anyway, rant over about their signings.
Amrabat's been playing in wingback.
Yeah, right wing-back is Amrabat, and left wing-back is Holebas.
That's weird.
Indeed it is. Somehow he got 3 bonus points in the 2-1 defeat to Chelsea after not getting a goal or assist. Anyway, that being said, it's time to move on to some cheeky little transfers. I really do think. So last week we left off, I think about Ashley Williams sort of time, didn't we? I think that's about right.
I'm pretty sure he just signed.
So I think have we covered the triplet of Sunderland boys joining from Man United? Donald Love,
yeah,
because
we were laughing at Paddy McNair scoring an own goal in his debut.
Yes, we were. That's right. Okay, we'll start from here then. Jonathan Kellery to West Ham from Deportivo Maldonado. I'll let you take that one.
Did we cover that?
We're
just going to do it anyway.
Yeah, might as well.
So, Kellery has been rumoured to be the future Higuain, something like that. To be honest,
he's sponsored McDonald's then. # overweight.
He looks like he could be a good player, but he just needs to get a goal. Needs to get that first goal, to be honest.
Yeah.
He was unlucky in the European game to not get a goal. And he was very unlucky against Bournemouth not to get a goal, because he went 1-on-1 with the goalie and really should have scored. But I'm not going to complain, because if I start complaining about strikers, they'll get injured.
That is very true. Next one is a strange one. Fabio, his big brother is Raphael. They're both Man United. We used to be at Man United. Joined Middlesbrough from Cardiff. £2 million reported deal. Hasn't played yet. Will he play? George Friend is our left back.
I wouldn't imagine so. Seeing as George Friend is their captain, I'd imagine he's just cover for George Friend.
That, or he is right-footed, so he could play right fullback. And I don't know who their fullback is.
He can do both, but at the same time, you just think he's probably still just going to be a backup player. Although I don't know how. On the note of Middlesbrough, I do not know how Adama is still playing for them. When he came on the other day, I was like, I swear Adama's the most average player I've ever seen play football.
Ooh, that's shots fired there.
It is. It really is.
You watch Adama join West Ham now. You'd be like, fuck. Scored 20 goals this season. Fuck.
I'd rather we signed Assombalonga and started playing him in right back.
Assombalonga! Hey, fry it. Next one, Mark Wilson.
Utility.
Mark Wilson is basically... Stoke have shipped out their only utility defender. I thought, well, who else is going to be able to play and cover on the bench? Right back, left back, centre back, sweeper, if anyone plays fucking sweeper. Right midfield, left midfield, central midfield, defensive midfield, even attacking midfield. You can even lob him up front because he's a lanky bastard. Then I realised they're in for Phil Jones. So that makes sense. They got rid of one utility player and brought in another. But for Bournemouth, it's just a mess signing, really. Don't think it's my first team to be around the team filling in when he needs to.
Yeah, I think it's not a panic buy. Maybe it's just a squad player.
Hello? Are you dead?
Hello? No, I'm not dead. I'm talking.
Is there anybody out there? Well, I'll carry on anyway.
I'm talking.
I think Joe has died.
I've not died. I'm still here.
Write anything in chat if you can hear me, but you're saying stuff and I can't hear you. But anyway, we'll move on because Joe's dead. Yannick Bolasie. Oh, that's a shame. I think that one would have been nice for Joe to talk about. But Yannick Bolasie joins Everton from Crystal Palace for 25 million. And I think he's just written something in chat. I'm talking. Well, we can't hear you, unfortunately. Not good, is it?
Hello?
Do you want to restart the call?
Hello?
This is really, really, really amateur, and I'm probably not going to end it out. Yep, he's started the call again.
Hello?
Let's see. Can't hear you.
Hello? Hello?
No, I can't.
God fucking
that's
damn
bad.
You piece of shit.
Oh well, I guess Joe is now officially dead.
Piece
unfortunately. Of shit. But we don't have much longer to go left, so I'll write in chat about any of the following players. I'm just going to copy and paste you a load of players. Write in the chat what you think about any of them, and I'll say your thoughts at the end. But Bolasie joining Everton, it's a strange signing, but the way you got to look at it as is that it's a lot like Sadio Mane, and Sadio Mane is one that got a lot of good playing time, a lot of good racings as well. Good playing, good form in general at Southampton under Mr. Ronald Koeman, and he's one that he could definitely get the best out of at Everton. Well, Ronald Koeman could get the best out of. My English is not really working. They're all shit. Oh dear, that's not good. Well, anyway, Yannick Bolasie, yeah, it's a really really good signing. 25 million. I'm not too sure, but it's like Sadio Mane, so I think he's got a good future. Then we've got Stephen Defoe, who is an even better signing. £6 million on the FPL, sorry. 7.35 reported fee. I'm definitely seeing him as one of the most vital players for Burnley this season. Then we've got Yunus Kabul, who joined Watford. They've got so many defenders, I'm not too sure what to make of it. Roberto Pereira joining from Juventus to Watford. Undisclosed fee, £5 million pounds. That's not right. Very, very good signing. I'm very, very impressed with that one. I did slate them for their signing. They're constantly going to sign this player and this player and this player, but that's an incredibly good signing. He's still not on FPL, so I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but he's a very, very good signing. Then Stephen Pienaar joining Sunderland from Everton. He knows David Moyes, but I'm not sure what to make of that. And then Christian Benteke joining Crystal Palace from Liverpool, 27 million. It's another one, if they can get the best out of him, he'll be good. But that being said, I think we've gone for everything. The podcast is at a length of about 40 minutes, so it's not too long this game week. I'd like to thank you all for listening. Remember, we're going to answer your questions next time. If you want to let your questions down in the description, then Boney to West Ham, Joe says in the Skype chat. Well, it's only rumoured, is it? Is it rumoured? Or is it actually confirmed? Because I saw Bilic. Yes to what? They didn't really. Yes, rumoured. Okay. Yeah, I think the other one is the dancing man himself. I can't remember the Italian striker, Zaza, wasn't it? ... What does that mean? Thinking? Typing? Anyway, Boney to West Ham. Don't like him. Oh well. Boney. I'll talk about Boney then. It's an Andy Carroll type signing. And I think people forget, before he joined Man City, he played for another city called Swansea City, and he did really, really well there. Good signing. Good signing to... Yeah, Joe says good signing. I agree with him. On loan. What, Boney on loan? Yes, this is the most dysfunctional podcasting I've ever recorded. But that being said, Boney, good signing. On loan, definitely good, because that means whenever Carroll breaks his leg this season, which will be, he's got a smiley face in the chat, whenever Carroll breaks his leg, which will be soon, I think it's definitely coming every week, yeah, pretty much. My 8th leg break of the season. What game week are we on? Game week 4. Oh no. But Boney is someone that could replace Carroll, and he's a target man, he's good at shooting. I feel like he'll do really well at West Ham. Have you got anything else you want to add, Joe? As we wait now, I can't. You can't what? We're still waiting. Alright, add anything. Okay, well, I'm assuming... Oh, yeah, well, you could have typed it. Oh, well. That being said, I think we're going to end the podcast here because it's really, really got dysfunctional. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Remember, your questions down below would be appreciated, and we will answer them all at the start or ends or whenever in next episodes, if there is next episodes. Who knows, we might be busy, but there should be a next episode, let's put it that way. Joe is typing, I'm assuming I've said something wrong. Goodbye. Don't you want to say see ya? Just emphasise the closest to the mic. I might just edit in from last week, just a see ya. Might make a soundboard of you, just so I can make it look like I'm talking to someone. No. Gingy X soundboard coming soon. Actually, that's a Gingy X soundboard because you got capital O. But anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed. Remember to leave the likes, comments, and everything down below. And we'll see you all, he said F you in the chat. And we'll see you all in the next podcast. Peace.